For a lot of people, mining in Terraria can feel like a chore. It's slow, uneventful, and boring, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't take too long to go from this to this. I'm going to cover how to mine faster and more efficiently, how to avoid traps, cover each of the biomes and layers in the world, go over which treasure you should try to get, and discuss mining with things other than pickaxes. Check the timestamps in the description if you want a particular piece of information. Let's talk about mining speed buffs first. These are the best investment you can make towards mining quickly. This is not the same as melee speed, which has no effect on mining speed. Every pickaxe has a use speed and a tool speed. The use speed is what is shown when you hover over the item and is how quickly the weapon can visibly swing again. This has no effect on how fast the pickaxe is at mining. That is determined by the hidden tool speed, which is how many game ticks it takes before you can hit another block. Effects that say increase mining speed are what you want, and they're not difficult to get. Spending some time in the underground desert can get you antlion mandibles to craft mining potions and the ancient chisel from chests, both of which are exceptionally useful. The ancient chisel can only be found in the top part of the underground desert if the chests you open have the thunder zapper, storm spear, or bass statue. You are too deep to find the chisel. They add up to a 50% mining speed boost, and you will only benefit from up to a 70% increase. If you have more than 70%, you will not get additional benefits. I recommend starting with these two items and then adding whatever is most convenient from the rest of the items to reach 70%. The slice of cake, which you get by speaking to the party girl during a party, needs to be placed down and activated for a buff that lasts 2 minutes. It's able to be used infinitely and doesn't take equipment slots, but you do need to take the time to reactivate it. Mining armor provides a 30% bonus when wearing the full set, with 10% coming from the pants, 10% from the shirt, and 10% from the set bonus. It's available very early in the game, can be used in a separate loadout slot, and it's the highest mining speed buff in the game, but getting them to drop can be tedious and the low defense can be quite dangerous on high difficulties, especially on hardcore or medium core. Keep in mind that you can shimmer the pants into the shirt and vice versa, and the mining helmet can be bought from the merchant at any time. The Ultra Bright helmet, which is an upgraded mining helmet using the night vision helmet from the granite biome, can also be used. Eating food gives you a mining speed boost based on whether it was a minor, medium, or major food buff. After killing one boss, pumpkin seeds from the Dryad can be planted in massive numbers for a medium food buff. Fishing can get you minor and medium buffs easily as well. It's not typically worth getting major food buffs for mining, given that they are much more difficult to obtain and only give a 5% better speed. The Sun and Moon Stone provide a boost to mining speed as part of their stat increases, which is included in their upgrades. These do not stack with each other. The Celestial Shell is particularly convenient when mining because it prevents you from being slowed down when in water, which can also be achieved with a flipper potion. And Ambrosia, which can be made by shimmering a fruit that drops from trees, provides a small but permanent buff. Remember, you can't buff yourself more than 70%. A setup like this is easy to obtain but isn't quite at the maximum without a major food buff. This is similar but needs to reapply the slice of cake repeatedly. This can be used as an alternative loadout in the late game, which maximizes mining speed with no consumables required. This avoids mining potions, which can be helpful if you struggle with getting blink root. In addition to these buffs, having a Reforge on your pickaxe that improves speed will also help. This is a separate bonus that is not part of the 70%. Light is the best modifier, but due to rounding, sometimes other modifiers will have the same effect. The way these speed buffs work is that you take the base mining speed of the pickaxe and apply the Reforge speed buff first, then round to the nearest whole number. On something like the silver pickaxe, which has a base speed of 11, a light Reforge will round down to 9, while a legendary Reforge will round up to 10. But on something like the pickaxe axe, with a base speed of 7, a 15% and a 10% boost both provide the same benefit and round to 6. Rounding is different with mining speed buffs. The Reforge of a pickaxe will round to the nearest whole number, while mining speed always rounds down. A 5% buff, like Ambrosia or a minor food, will always improve your mining speed by 1 frame, even if you have no other bonuses. As a rule of thumb, anything Palladium or slower will have Light be the best Reforge, while anything Mithril or better will have Legendary, Deadly, Agile, Quick, and Nasty perform the same as Light. The 3 exceptions to this rule are the Shroomite Digging Claw, the Cactus Pickaxe, and the Candy Cane Pickaxe. The Digging Claw is so fast that only light has an effect on it. Nothing slower will impact the mining speed because they round back up to 4. The Cactus Pickaxe benefits the same from 10% and 15% speed reforges as does the Candy Cane Pickaxe. Well, it sounds like the Digging Claw should be the fastest pickaxe in the game then, right? Yes, but no, not exactly. It does have the fastest unmodified tool speed of any pickaxe, but the absolute fastest that a pickaxe can mine is 1 block every tick, or 60 blocks per second. The titanium pickaxe with maximum mining speed buffs is the same speed as the digging claw because they both get down to a tool speed of 1. The pickaxe axe, chlorophyte pickaxe, pick saw, and luminite pickaxes can all also reach the maximum mining speed. The shroomite digging claw does require the fewest buffs to reach the mining speed cap, needing only 35% mining speed. But if you have enough buffs, it's actually worse to use the digging claw because it has a range penalty. And while the titanium pickaxe can reach the mining speed cap, the fact that it has less than 200% pickaxe power means it will take 2 hits to break corrupted stone, making it slower than the others for mining in the underground hollow and corruption. On that subject, pickaxe power is quite important to understand. Think of pickaxe power as the amount of damage your pickaxe does to a block, while the mining speed is how frequently it does that damage. Blocks have a varying amount of HP ranging from 50% for dirt-like blocks to 500% for chlorophyte. Grass and moss will always take an additional swing to break. The most important pickaxe powers are 50%, 65%, 100%, and 200%. Anything with less than 50% pickaxe power will take 2 hits to break dirt and 3 hits to break stone, because the minimum pickaxe power is 35%. So, speed is all that matters. The iron pickaxe is faster than copper, and the silver pickaxe is faster than iron. Once you hit 50%, you'll be able to break dirt blocks in 1 swing and stone blocks in 2. The tungsten pickaxe, which is the first that can do this, has a much slower tool speed than the silver and lead pickaxes, but it's overall faster for breaking dirt, sand, snow, and similar blocks because it needs half as many swings. So, the tungsten pickaxe is good for when you need to break a lot of soft blocks, but silver and even lead are better for breaking stone-type blocks. The gold pickaxe is faster than tungsten for breaking dirt-type blocks, but is about the same speed as the silver pickaxe for breaking stone-type blocks. The platinum pickaxe is the fastest ore pickaxe for dirt and stone-type blocks. The platinum pickaxe is not the best early-game pickaxe, though. The fossil pickaxe is even faster than platinum while also being quite easy to obtain, needing only 12 fossils. That is even more reason to go to the underground desert for mining boosts. If you want a quick and easy mining setup in the early game, you are not going to get much better than the fossil pickaxe, ancient chisel, mining potions, and some food. The Reaver Shark is faster than the fossil pickaxe, and the bone pickaxe is the best, combining the power of the platinum pickaxe with the speed of the silver pickaxe. None of these can break Crimstone, Ebonstone, or Hellstone, though. Those need 65% pickaxe power or better, which essentially just means whichever one you get for killing the evil boss. These two might look identical, but the Deathbringer pickaxe is quite a bit better. That 5% pickaxe power means it breaks Corrupted Stone and Hellstone in 3 hits instead of 4, and it has an innately faster mining speed too. The in-game description is misleading here. It looks like the Nightmare pickaxe should be faster, but that's showing the melee speed, not the mining speed. The mining speed is a hidden stat. The Molten Pickaxe clocks in at 100% pickaxe power, able to break stone blocks in 1 hit. It's actually worse than the Gold Pickaxe for soft blocks because it has a slow mining speed, but it's the best Prehardmode pickaxe for breaking anything tougher than dirt. It's not a bad idea to keep a faster pickaxe on hand for those soft blocks. And, unfortunately, comparing pickaxes is not as simple as I've made it out to be here. I've been looking at their base speed, not their speed when buffed. I'm going to look at 2 situations here. A pickaxe that has 35% mining speed buffs, which is easily reached with a mining potion and a medium food buff, and a pickaxe that has been fully buffed to 70%. I'll be assuming a light reforge. Each pickaxe will be 1 to 2 ticks slower if you don't have one, depending on the rounding. This is a lot to take in, but the important takeaway from these data is that with moderate mining speed buffs, pickaxes follow the behavior I described earlier, but with very high mining speed buffs, they do not. With maximum buffs, most of these pickaxes will be mining with a speed of either 3 or 4, meaning there isn't much difference between them. By the time you can reach 70%, you'll likely be using the late Prehardmode pickaxes, and the Platinum, Fossil, Reaver, Nightmare, and Deathbringer pickaxes will all break blocks at the exact same speed. The only difference is that the Nightmare and Deathbringer pickaxes can mine Corrupted Stone and Hellstone, and the Deathbringer pickaxe will still do so faster than the Nightmare pickaxe because of the pickaxe power difference I mentioned earlier. Also, each of these pickaxes needs exactly 70% mining speed to mine at their maximum speed, except for the Reaver Shark, which needs only 65%. The Bone Pickaxe and Silver Pickaxe break into the mining speed of 2, which is extremely important. The Bone Pickaxe is 50% faster than each of the previously mentioned ones and is the same speed as the Molten Pickaxe for stone blocks and twice as fast for dirt blocks. When at the maximum mining speed, the bone pickaxe handily outperforms every single Prehardmode pickaxe. The silver pickaxe punches above its weight class but isn't exceptional. It's equal to gold and tungsten for soft blocks and faster for stone blocks, but is slower than the pickaxes with a speed of 3 for soft blocks and the same speed as those for stone blocks. This all gets even more warped in the For the Worthy and Get Fixed Boy seeds, where blocks have half as much HP. Dirt blocks are always destroyed in 1 hit, so the silver pickaxe rivals the bone pickaxe for those. Stone blocks take 2 hits from weak pickaxes and 1 hit from those with 50% or higher power. It makes the bone pickaxe even better because it will break stone blocks in 1 hit. The tungsten and molten pickaxes are particularly bad in this seed because their high power is unnecessary and you're left with just the slow speed. The Deathbringer and Nightmare pickaxe also no longer have a discrepancy with how many hits it takes to destroy blocks. If you're wondering about the shovel, I cover that later in the video. In Hardmode, you're faced with the important question of whether to make drills or pickaxes. Drills are considerably faster inherently, but cannot have their mining speed improved. That sounds pretty nice, except for one tiny thing. They don't work correctly. Every single drill in the game has a mining speed that is 1 tick slower than their listed mining speed in the game code and on the wiki. I don't know where the calculations go off, but all drills are slower than they should be. The faster the drill should be, the more damaging this is. Because of that, it's extremely hard to justify making drills unless you never use any mining speed buffs whatsoever. If drills worked correctly, you would need this to have pickaxes beat them, assuming a speed boosting reforge. This looks good! Having 35 to 40% mining speed buffs is a hefty investment and you don't need to spend money reforging drills. But this is what you actually need to beat drills. Remember, this isn't what you need to mine at the same speed, this is what you need to mine at a faster speed. This is all you need to match their speed. Then consider that drills also have a range penalty, and the only reason you would ever use drills is if you had access to almost no mining speed buffs and also couldn't reforge your pickaxe. This is why drills feel so slow. It's why every time you make one, they feel so underwhelming. They're not coded correctly. The titanium pickaxe is particularly noteworthy because it's the first pickaxe that can hit a tool speed of 1. The pickaxe axe and chlorophyte pickaxe are both the same speed as the titanium pickaxe, but can break corrupted stone in 1 hit and can mine chlorophyte. The chlorophyte pickaxe is very skippable as a result. The only real benefit is +1 range, but it can sometimes come in handy during multiplayer games or medium core playthroughs. The Spectre pickaxe, unfortunately, is just bad. I get the idea. The Shroomerang digging claw is faster than the chlorophyte pickaxe but has less range, so the Spectre pickaxe has more range but is slower. The problem is, speed is so much more important than range, and the Spectre pickaxe just doesn't give enough range to make it worthwhile. If you want high range, you can get the laser drill, which has +11 range instead of +3. It is by far the least useful pickaxe in the game. I make drills more often than the Spectre pickaxe. It's a downgrade from chlorophyte. It's the only late game pickaxe that cannot reach a tool speed of 1 when fully buffed, which makes it twice as slow as all the other ones when buffed. Lastly, the Picksaw is the same speed as the Luminite pickaxes, but both still need 65% speed buffs to reach the mining speed cap. The main benefit they have is increased range. If you want a pickaxe that doesn't need a bunch of mining speed buffs to reach the maximum speed, you'll need the Shroomerang digging claw, which as I said earlier takes only 35% mining speed. The reduced block HP in For the Worthy is not noteworthy in Hardmode, since most pickaxes are breaking blocks in 1 hit regardless. It makes mining ores slightly faster and lets the pickaxes before the pickaxe axe break corrupted stone in 1 hit, but that's about it. So, you've got a good mining speed. The next problem is finding treasure. Spelunker potions are your best friend. They are a bit resource intensive to make, so you want to have a good source of herbs. They take Moonglow, which you get from the jungle and blooms at night, and Blinkroot, which you get on dirt or mud that does not have grass on it and blooms randomly. They also take platinum or gold ore. You can buy planter boxes from the Dryad to plant Moonglow anywhere and harvest it at night. You can do the same thing with Blinkroot, but due to the random blooming, it can be difficult to get seeds. If you have the Staff of Regrowth or the Axe of Regrowth, you can plant Blinkroot on dirt or mud outside of planter boxes. This will let you harvest them out of bloom and still get seeds. However, if you do this, make sure you put them in a safe location. They will be destroyed by projectiles, falling stars, or grass growing on the dirt or mud. You need Blinkroot for mining potions as well, so a good farm is key to mining efficiently. Growing herbs does not depend on being in a particular biome, only on a particular block. You can also use any planter box for any herb. However, herbs do grow faster on the surface compared to underground, so you should farm your herbs above 0 elevation. This is because the game updates blocks on the surface more frequently than those underground. For the platinum and gold ore, just be sure to leave some unsmelted. If you're in hard mode and have a bunch of extra cobalt or palladium, you could shimmer those down to platinum in a pinch. On the no traps and get fixed boy seeds, life crystal boulders will glow from danger sense potions as well. And obviously having one is wonderful for avoiding traps, which I discuss later. You won't always have Spelunker potions. Night Owl potions or the Night Vision helmet can help you see further in caves and reveal extra treasure. Stocking up on glowsticks or flares from the merchant and spamming them around can quickly reveal anything hidden within and help find connections to nearby caves. Some items can be used to light up areas you can't directly reach. The starfury is fantastic at this. By aiming and attacking at the darkness, you'll send stars to highlight nearby caves. It is a wonderful utility item and worth carrying around for most of the game. Be careful of using it in the underground jungle, as you may accidentally summon Queen Bee. The explosive trap sentry can be used similarly. Mounts provide a burst of light when used, which you can send into solid blocks if you're moving at a high speed. If you're wearing rocket boots or one of its upgrades, you can repeatedly mount and dismount and press jump when dismounted. This causes unusually large particles to spawn and fall downward, providing strong illumination beneath you. It's particularly useful for hunting pyramids. Using explosives, usually dynamite, will also flood the area beneath you with bright light. The metal detector is fantastic even if you have Spelunker potions. It has a range longer than the screen, so when you detect something like a life crystal, chest, or life fruit, you know there's one nearby and can quickly locate it with the Spelunker potion. If you have a good sense of the range of the metal detector, you can even do this without the Spelunker potion. It has a range of 62 tiles vertically in each direction and 85 horizontally, while the edge of the screen is 60 blocks horizontally and 35 vertically at a 1920 by 1080 resolution. So, if you find the location where you start to detect treasure and figure out whether it's located horizontally or vertically away from you, make note of the respective edge of the screen and move about 25 to 30 blocks past that. Then, if you went horizontally, mine vertically until you find it, and vice versa. This isn't a very easy strategy to teach, but it's something you can just naturally do after a while. If you're on a smaller resolution, the screen sizes will be different. Okay, you can locate things, but what do you look for? What's worth mining and what isn't? Life crystals spawn in every biome and are pretty much always worth mining. Even once you're at maximum HP, you can use them to craft heart lanterns or sell them for quite a bit of gold. Chests are great up until Hardmode, but are always worth at least checking. Even if the item isn't helpful, most of them can be sold for a gold or more, and they may contain useful potions as secondary loot. Underground cabins will always have chests. They're made of wood in the underground, boreal wood in the snow biome, smooth sandstone in the desert, and rich mahogany in the jungle. Due to their large size, they're usually pretty easy to spot. They'll have long beams going downward, so you can find them using those. Mushroom, granite, and marble biomes all have unique cabins with unique chest designs, but they contain the same treasure as gold chests. Outside of cabins, normal gold chests will spawn in these biomes. Mushroom chests in cabins will contain a bonus item, either a minecart or a vanity set. They will not contain the shroomerang. That item will only ever drop from spore bats. It cannot be found in chests. It was listed on the wiki as spawning in them until a few days ago, but I guess nobody decided to check if it was actually true. You can find chests outside of cabins too, of course. The type of chests that spawn will vary depending on the biome you're in. The surface will only ever contain wooden chests. For a short distance below zero elevation, the underground layer continues spawning wooden chests before it switches to gold chests. The snow and desert biomes will spawn their exclusive chest type with their unique loot pool. There will never be gold chests or dead man's chests outside of World Gen hiccups. The snow biome can contain water chests, but the underground desert will never, because there's not any water. The jungle's loot is complicated. It has 5 different types of chests: rich mahogany, ivy, water, gold, and dead man's. Rich mahogany chests are what spawn in jungle underground cabins and only spawn in those cabins. Their loot is identical to gold chests. These jungle cabins can occasionally contain sharpening stations as furniture, which can be collected and used for an armor penetration buff to melee weapons. Gold chests and dead man's chests spawn dotted around the jungle randomly. These have their normal loot. Ivy chests spawn in jungle shrines and living mahogany trees, but the two do not have the same loot generation. Jungle shrines will always contain a jungle item, while living mahogany trees will only contain a jungle item 75% of the time. 25% of the time, they will contain a primary item from a gold chest instead. There are a few unique objects that can spawn in most biomes to keep an eye out for. The first is a microbiome with an unlit campfire with a few placed gold coins. Coins can also spawn as part of coin pouches and stashes, which are background objects overflowing with coins. When broken, they'll drop a large number of coins. They can spawn with copper, silver, or gold coins and are highlighted by Spelunker potions. The copper ones aren't worth much, but the silver and especially gold ones are. Be sure to collect any you see. Enchanted swords are able to spawn outside of the shrines near the surface, but are exceedingly rare. They will not be highlighted by Spelunker potions either. You can recognize it by the blue handle, and it will drop the enchanted sword when broken or the Terragrim 2% of the time. Detonators wired up to large veins of ore can spawn anywhere outside the underground desert and can be safely activated as long as you position yourself away from the explosives. I don't consider these a trap, but if you fall on the detonator switch or are too close when it gets activated, you can be caught in the explosion. Keep an eye out for useful statues now that they get highlighted by Spelunker potions. They frequently spawn in mushroom biomes and underground cabins, but can be found anywhere. Heart and star statues are both versatile and easy to set up. Any statue that spawns an enemy besides mimics, crabs, and wall creepers can drop items as long as the player deals at least 1 point of damage to them. Note that the drop rates will be reduced considerably, and hard mode enemies will only drop items if you're in hard mode. If you're in For the Worthy or Get Fixed Boy, finding an imp statue will make the headache that is the Wall of Flesh fight much easier, and they're an easy source of obsidian roses for Terra Spark boots. Shark statues are a great way to get hunter potions and the fins you need for a mega shark. Silt and slush are basically just gambling. With an extractinator, you can turn them into ores, gems, money, and very rarely a pet. They can be fun to use, but aren't really a good source of anything. If you want to gamble, mine the block 2 below the bottom of the silt or slush, place a torch there, then break the block directly under it. They'll get destroyed as they fall, letting you harvest large amounts quickly. This strategy also works on sand. And, of course, be sure to pick up any blink root you see so you can make more Spelunker and mining potions. When it comes to mining ores, the key question is it worth spending my time doing this? Almost everything that you get from mining ores will be replaced once you kill a few bosses and you get better armor and weapons. Mining for ores is not necessary, but will make those fights less difficult. And getting the weaker ores can make getting the better ones easier. Is it worth spending the time getting them, or do you just skip to the better ones? That question doesn't have a definitive answer and will depend entirely on your preferences. Getting 20 defense from platinum armor can be incredible, or you might want a lead broadsword to help kill bats when mining for silver. Every tier of ore has 2 variants. There are the default ores, copper, iron, silver, gold, and the alternate ores, tin, lead, tungsten, and platinum. In Prehardmode, the alternate ore is superior to the default ore. They deal a bit more damage, mine slightly faster, and give more defense with no downside. The exception is the tungsten pickaxe, which I mentioned earlier. Although Dynamite and Crimtane have distinct armors, swords, and bows, the Crimtane fishing rod has 22% fishing power, while the Fisher of Souls has 20% because Crimtane is the alternate ore. Copper and tin are pretty much useless. There are some niche situations where you might want some, but I just treat them like they don't exist. Iron and lead are not high value, but they can be worth getting. At the very least, getting 15 ore for an anvil is helpful, although you can buy one from the merchant if you have them. You do need iron to make iron skin potions and the mechanical boss summoning items, so having a good stockpile can be quite nice. A lot of other miscellaneous crafting recipes use iron too. The weapons are a good upgrade if you're coming from copper items and are struggling with enemies, but they're just worse than the higher tier ores. The pickaxe, similarly, can help with mining faster, but you can also just go straight to the better ores. Silver and tungsten are pretty worth mining. The broadswords and bows are good weapons. A silver bow is very usable for the Eye of Cthulhu. The tungsten armor gives 15 defense, which is only 1 less than gold armor. It's much easier to get tungsten than gold, so if you have those 2 ores and want good defense, you should always make tungsten armor. They aren't the best ore, but they are usually good enough. If you want the best, you'll want gold and platinum. They're pretty much always worth mining in small amounts for Spelunker potions and a watch. The weapons are better than all the other ones, and platinum armor has the 2nd highest defense of any Prehardmode armor set, behind only Molten. But it does have no offensive stat bonuses, and is only 1 defense higher than Shadow, Necro, and Crimson armor. You can also find small amounts of Demonite and Crimtane. You'll need explosives or a gold or platinum pickaxe to mine them. These will let you get a better sword, bow, fishing rod, yo-yo, or a magiluminescence before killing any bosses. If any of these are desirable to you, you can consider getting them, but they're very skippable. Remember, the Eye of Cthulhu and Evil Boss will drop a lot of it when you kill them. The veins are individually small, but you'll likely find enough to make at least one of those items while getting early game gear. It only takes 24 ore for a bow or fishing rod. Hellstone mining is something you'll do in almost all playthroughs. The best way is to simply drink an obsidian skin potion, which takes fire blossom, water leaf, and a block of obsidian, and then jump in a pool of lava. Then just start digging into the hellstone. Most of the underworld enemies won't be able to reach you, and there is plenty of hellstone to mine. If you don't need hellstone until hard mode, you can use dynamite to blow it up to collect it quickly, because hellstone is only immune to explosions in pre-hard mode. In Hardmode, the ores spawn by smashing altars with a pwn hammer. Breaking a single altar will allow pirate invasions and random mechanical boss spawns, but since 1.4.4 there is no downside to breaking as many altars as you want past 1. There is no longer random corruption and hollow spread, but there are diminishing returns. That means each altar spawns less ore than the previous one. Personally, I tend to break as many as I can find until I get bored, leaving one altar to craft things at. 12 is an easy number that provides about twice as much as breaking 3. Ore generation happens in batches of 3 altars, since you need to break 3 altars before you loop back to generating the same ore type. The second batch spawns half as much as the first, the third spawns a third as much, the fourth a quarter as much, and so on. In Drunk and Get Fixed Boy worlds, they still generate in the same way despite placing both sets of Hardmode ores. That means the second cycle of ores placed by altars will be much less common than the first. While the Hardmode ores do have their alternate versions, they are not always better than the default ones. Anything that operates strictly on numbers, swords, repeaters, pickaxes, will have the alternate ore be slightly superior. However, it will take more bows to craft anything made out of the alternate ores. It takes 15 bows for the cobalt and mithril pickaxes, but 18 for the palladium and orichalcum ones. A mithril anvil takes 10, while an orichalcum one takes 12. Adamantite armor takes 54 bows, while titanium takes 59. The only exception to this is that it takes the same amount of adamantite and titanium ore to craft a forge, and the forbidden and frost armor sets both use the same amount of tier 3 metal. You can shimmer the alternate ores down to the default versions, but not vice versa. This means if the shimmer is easily accessible, getting palladium, orichalcum, and titanium is better because you can shimmer it to the other version. As far as armor, it isn't easy to say which is better or worse. Comparing full armor sets, the default armors all have better outright stats, but the alternate armors all have unique set bonuses. Without going into too much detail on them, I would say palladium is the better tier 1 armor, while mithril and adamantite are better for tiers 2 and 3. Melee in particular has a very good mithril armor set because the set bonus is crit chance instead of melee speed. Mithril's damage bonuses are actually higher than adamantite and titanium for melee, it just has lower defense. Most of the default ore armor sets are lackluster, giving things like melee speed, ammo conservation, or mana cost reduction. Because of that, and their inherently good stats, mixing armor isn't a bad idea with these. I'm not going to get too into that, but don't be afraid to break the set bonus of cobalt, mithril, and adamantite, unless you're wearing mithril as melee. If you have very good mining bonuses, you can mine enough adamantite for an armor set and weapons quite quickly by mining around the lava layer. Be sure to bring obsidian skin potions. If you don't have good mining speed, it can take a while to get enough, and making armor out of the tier 1 or 2 makes more sense. Remember, you'll be switching this armor out for hollowed, chlorophyte, or turtle armor after the mech bosses, so you don't need to spend a bunch of time getting these armors. Better armor and weapons will help with the mech bosses, but you don't need to get the best, only what is good enough. Personally, I will always get enough to make a tier 1 pickaxe, a tier 2 pickaxe and anvil, and a tier 3 forge. Usually, I'll either get the tier 3 armor or just fight the mech bosses with what I had in pre-Hardmode. I don't often get the tier 1 or 2 armor. But again, you should get whatever you need, not whatever I need. I can't tell you what's best for you, only what's best for me. Gemstones have very little nuance to them. Amethyst is the worst gemstone, followed by topaz, sapphire, emerald, ruby, amber, and diamond in that order. Better gemstones will make better hooks, robes, and staves, but are also less common. If you're a mage wanting a staff, be sure to pay attention to what ores are in your world. Amethyst goes with copper, topaz with tin, sapphire with silver, emerald with tungsten, ruby with gold, and diamond with platinum. Amber uses desert fossils and can be obtained quickly if you can survive the underground desert. Gemstones can occur anywhere beneath the surface. They look like stone blocks with colored dots in them, or rarely as an object coming off a surface. I'm going to refer to the second type as a placed gemstone from here on out. The underground desert primarily spawns amber as a placed gem, but will occasionally have other gemstones in small numbers. The snow biome will have only placed gemstones, but they occur quite frequently. The jungle will have gemstone blocks that look like stone, which is easily distinguished in the mud. Marble, granite, and mushroom biomes will not spawn gemstones, but there is a gemstone cave mini biome that can spawn, which contains large numbers of gemstones placed and in blocks. The emerald staff is the first one that is able to pierce enemies, making it considerably better than sapphire. I wouldn't make a staff worse than emerald unless I desperately needed a magic weapon. When you don't have a Spelunker potion, it's particularly easy to find gemstones in the snow biome because they spawn on the surface of blocks. In the standard underground, gemstones will often spawn inside of solid blocks and are more difficult to find. The main reason most players will want gemstones is to make a grappling hook. Bring 15 gems to an anvil and you can craft one. After that, unless you're playing a mage or want colorful aesthetics, there's not much reason to mine gems. They can be sold outright for a decent sum. Note that the stained glass crafting has been nerfed to be far less profitable and is no longer worthwhile. I usually ignore amethyst and topaz, but get the gemstones better than them. Topaz and ruby both have a unique and useful crafting recipe, the magiluminescence and the slime crown, respectively. Because of that, getting at least 5 topaz is a good idea because the magiluminescence is an incredible accessory, and keeping extra rubies will let you summon king slime easily. Topaz is also used for the sand gun, which is a bit less useful. It can be difficult to distinguish between gemstones with a Spelunker potion. In particular, diamond and ruby can easily be mixed up with sapphire and amethyst, respectively. Ruby is a bright red, while amethyst is a much deeper color. If it isn't very obviously red, it isn't ruby. When placed, ruby is very round and smooth, while amethyst is more jagged. Diamond and sapphire are extremely similar in color, but diamond has larger chunks in the stone, while sapphire is smaller. When placed, the two are easily distinguished in color. Let's talk biomes. The underground desert has phenomenal treasure that is relevant for a lot of the game, but it becomes miserable to mine in once hard mode starts. It also has the highest odds of containing boots in any given chest as long as you're in the right area, has a pickaxe that's better than platinum, and a gemstone that's barely behind diamond. You'll get antlion mandibles for mining potions as well. It is an incredibly high value biome. I mentioned depth and being in the right area in the desert a few times now. The underground desert is very unique because although it has 7 primary items to loot in chests, 4 of them only show up in the top 4/7 of the desert and the other 3 in the bottom 3/7. That means any given chest in the top part of the desert has a 1 in 4 chance of being boots, a magic conch, an ancient chisel, or a snake charmer's flute, and any chest in the bottom has a 1 in 3 chance of being the thunder zapper, storm spear, or bass statue. As a result, the desert is extremely likely to give you good items if you're in the top part of it, and quite unlikely to give you anything worthwhile in the bottom. The magic conch and ancient chisel are both incredible items that are useful the entire game. Dune Rider boots are strictly better homies boots, and bass statues can also spawn as furniture in cabins. The storm spear and thunder zapper are not bad items, but it's quite difficult to get deep enough to find them unless you already have a better weapon. Getting deeper will pretty much only affect the items found in chests. The spawn rate is at the maximum possible the moment you step below 0 elevation, and all the enemies can begin spawning. Using desert fossils does require an extractinator, which can be looted as furniture in desert cabins or rarely found in gold or ice chests. The desert fossils have a lower chance of giving normal ores, gems, and coins, but can give sturdy fossils and amber instead. They are also almost 3 times as likely to give you the dinosaur pet. Sturdy fossils can also be obtained by killing tomb crawlers if you can't find an extractinator. In hard mode, the underground desert becomes absolutely miserable. It has some of the worst enemies in the game and virtually nothing worthwhile aside from the spirit lamp. Don't go there, ever. If you're planning to mine in the underground desert, be sure to bring something to deal with worms and danger sense potions to detect the cacti before they're a threat. I would head there after getting some HP upgrades and weapons that can deal with antlions and worms. A flaming mace, enchanted boomerang, and 200 HP is plenty on expert mode. Because the desert is a bunch of small caves, you can block off most enemies from following you. Stick around the top 4/7 of the desert, look for cabins and chests, and trigger cacti before they can be a danger. Make sure to keep any antlion mandibles for mining potions as well. The snow biome has a better loot pool than the regular underground, but the enemies are a bit more dangerous, mostly due to inflicting the chilled and frozen debuffs. The blizzard in a bottle is quite a bit better than the cloud in a bottle, the ice mirror is more likely to spawn than the magic mirror in gold chests, and flurry boots are slightly more likely to appear in ice chests than Hermes boots are in gold chests. The snow biome is also a great place to find gemstones. If it was easily accessible, I would choose to mine in the snow biome instead of the regular underground in Prehardmode, at least until I got a blizzard in a bottle. The ice blade is particularly nice because of the bright light it creates, which helps when exploring underground. You can also craft snowballs out of snow to use as a thrown weapon. They're not good, but when your options are limited, they can let you attack safely from a distance. The snow biome has the same spawn rates as the standard underground biome. In the underground layer, only ice slimes will spawn, while the cavern layer brings spiked ice slimes, ice bats, undead vikings, and snow flinxes. Take particular caution around the bats and spiked ice slimes because they're capable of freezing the player, making you unable to do anything for a second or two. The ice in the snow biome will cause the player to slide around when moving, unless wearing ice skates. This can make navigation a bit tricky. Touching water in the snow biome will inflict chilled in expert mode and above, and thin ice will break when fallen on unless wearing ice skates. It takes falling from 4 blocks or more to break ice on contact. Thin ice will show up on danger sense potions unless wearing ice skates. As a general strategy, follow caves to their end and then look for another one nearby to mine to. Ice bats and shiverthorn give off small amounts of light which can help with locating them. In hard mode, the snow biome isn't very worthwhile. I almost always mine for hard mode ores in the regular underground biome or infected versions of that biome. The jungle is high risk, high reward, with the standard underground loot pool being lootable alongside the jungle exclusive loot. I wouldn't mine for ores in the jungle in pre-hard mode, but it is a great place to find chests and life crystals. The open caves make it easy to explore large areas quickly. I would suggest coming here after getting some gear from mining elsewhere and bounce around from chest to chest and life crystal to life crystal. You do not want to spend a lot of time in one area or killing enemies. The slower you make your way through the jungle, the more enemies will spawn. Because it's mud, you're able to mine through it quite quickly. You'll also need to come here to get Moonglow for Spelunker potions, and the Staff of Regrowth is phenomenal for herb farming. The jungle spawn rates are noticeably lower than the underground desert, but the large, open nature of the jungle makes it harder to avoid the enemies that spawn. The spawn rates increase as you reach the cavern layer, but the underground layer will still spawn hornets, spiked jungle slimes, and the other underground jungle enemies. Queen Bee, Plantera, and Golem will also not be enraged in the underground layer. Unlike the underground corruption, the underground jungle does actually count the underground layer. Remember not to stay in one area for too long and move about, following caves or mining through blocks to find a new one. If an area is dangerous, don't be afraid to block yourself off and find somewhere else. Do yourself a favor and don't try to mine for early hard mode ores in the jungle. When chlorophyte is available, you'll be able to mine a bunch of it extremely quickly with mining speed buffs and spelunker potions. Keep an eye out for life fruit using a metal detector if you have one. Sleeping for a while helps to grow a large amount of them. They begin growing once one mechanical boss has been killed. I usually get all 20 right before Plantera, but you could get to 500 HP as soon as one mechanical boss has been killed if you waited for them to grow and found them. And lastly, the standard underground biome is the safest biome to mine in, but the rewards are the least exciting. It is good for getting life crystals and other gear to let you tackle the other biomes safely. It's the only biome you'll find blink loot in, and it's the best choice for mining hard mode ores, but you'll get better items from chests in other biomes. I would use it as a stepping stone. Get life crystals, ores, a basic double jump, mining upgrades, a grappling hook, then with that better gear start looking for chests in the jungle, desert, or snow biome. Spawn rates increase as you get to the cavern layer and more dangerous enemies will show up there. Having an overhead swinging weapon like a broadsword is a great way to deal with bats. Keep an eye out for special biomes when mining. Mushroom biomes are almost always worth looting. They commonly have chests, life crystals, and statues. The mushrooms allow you to upgrade lesser healing potions, and you can get a unique pylon. In my experience, granite biomes have above average life crystal and chest spawns, while marble biomes are a bit lackluster. Spider biomes are a fantastic source of cobwebs, a possible free grappling hook, and very important at the start of hard mode as a summoner. Moss biomes allow you to see every cave nearby. It's a bit like having a spelunker potion. Be careful of traps, which can be concealed by the moss. To go into a bit more detail, I checked 3 different large worlds in T-Edit to figure out how treasure is distributed in the world. These data were collected through observation and shouldn't be taken as absolute, but they allow us to notice a few consistent patterns. As part of this explanation, I'm going to use 3 distinct layers: the underground, the cavern layer, and the lava layer. Exact elevations will vary depending on world generation. The underground layer occurs below 0 elevation. Red and yellow slimes will spawn here with the occasional worm. In hard mode, toxic slimes and possessed armor show up as well. Gold chests, life crystals, gems, traps, minecart tracks, and abandoned houses will all spawn here. Cobalt and palladium spawn here, and gold begins spawning at the bottom of the underground layer. Marble and granite biomes can rarely spawn here, and the underground desert and jungle begin here. The cavern layer will have a gray background and more dangerous enemy spawns: bats, skeletons, mother slimes, and similar threats. Mushroom, granite, marble, spider, and moss biomes spawn here, as do all ores. Mithril and orichalcum spawn anywhere in the cavern layer, while adamantite and titanium begin generating at the bottom of this region. You need to be at this layer or lower to be in the underground corruption and hollow biomes to get souls of night and light. Deep in the world, lava replaces pools of water. This is the lava layer. Geysers and lava traps spawn here, the lava charm is lootable in chests, and the snow biome no longer exists. The underground desert will stop somewhere in the cavern layer or lava layer depending on world gen, while the jungle reaches all the way down to hell. I designate the start of the lava layer as the highest point that lava spawns at outside of the underground desert, and the bottom of the lava layer as the highest point where ash spawns. The main analysis I did was checking how many objects spawn in the entire world beneath the surface, then checking what percentage of them spawned in the underground, cavern, and lava layers. Then I compared those percentages to how much of the area that layer takes up. So if the cavern layer takes up 46% of the world, but 62% of the chests in the world spawn there, there's an above average rate of chests in that layer. If a similar result is seen in all three worlds, then we can be reasonably confident in the result. Ores spawned at a similar rate in every layer and every biome. The exception is that gold and platinum are less common in the underground layer, but this is due to them being incapable of spawning until reaching a certain depth. If you only look at the area that they begin spawning in the underground layer, the rate is normal. Gems do not follow this trend. They are considerably less common in the underground layer regardless of gemstone type. This discrepancy is likely due to them being unable to spawn in areas with dirt background walls. Life crystals and chests spawned at a below average rate in the underground and lava layers, but at an above average rate in the cavern layer. Statues were similar, but spawned at an expected rate in the lava layer and a reduced rate in the underground. It's easy to explain the lava layer. Chests and life crystals cannot spawn in lava, so there are simply fewer valid locations for them to exist at that depth. As a result, there are fewer chests and fewer life crystals. Statues are capable of spawning in lava, so we don't see a decrease with them. The underground layer is harder to explain. I could make conjecture about the crimson and corruption extending to this region, or the top of the underground desert having large amounts of sand, but frankly I don't know why the decrease happens there. To check loot density, I sampled 300 by 300 block squares of the world and checked how many chests, life crystals, and ores occurred in them. There were very few points where I could identify a difference in the density of treasure between biomes. It did seem that the jungle had slightly higher chest density compared to the other biomes. Gems were most common in the normal cavern biome, followed by the snow biome, then jungle, then desert. Based on these data, I'm going to propose the following. Ores can be mined at any depth and any biome with no significant variations in their spawn rates. As long as you meet the minimum depth requirement for the ore, it does not matter where you are. Chests and life crystals will be found most frequently in the cavern layer. Stick there if you're looking for them. You can still find them in the lava and underground layers, and their spawn rates are not that bad, but your best bet is the cavern layer. Gems are most common in the standard underground biome, but are easiest to find in the snow biome due to spawning as placed objects rather than being buried inside solid blocks. If you have a Spelunker potion, this no longer matters as you can find gems buried inside blocks easily. If you can survive it comfortably, the jungle has slightly higher chest density, large caves that connect with each other, and a soft block that is faster to mine than stone, making it the easiest biome to find loot quickly in. As far as life crystals and chests, you will find them fastest in the jungle in the cavern layer as long as the enemies don't pose a problem. Keep in mind that the speed you can get around at is a bottleneck. Even if the jungle has a bit better loot density, if you spend a bunch of time having to kill the enemies or being trapped, then you aren't exploring faster than in other biomes. The best biome to mine in is the one that has the items you want or the one that you can get around the fastest in. Traps begin generating in the underground layer and do not change their frequency as you get deeper. Most traps rely on wiring and will be triggered when the player steps on a pressure plate. Almost all traps can be detected with the use of a danger sense potion, which takes only shiverthorn and 10 cobwebs to craft. This is the best way to notice and avoid them and takes only a quick trip to the snow biome to get the materials. Because most traps rely on wiring, you can use that to find them. Holding out any pressure plate or trap will show wiring placed in the world. This requires the area to have light and you need to hold the item in your hand, which can be inconvenient. Shine potions are quite helpful if you use this strategy. Be warned that this will not work in the For the Worthy or Get Fixed Boy seeds because wiring is concealed until after Skeletron has been killed. Once you kill Skeletron, you can purchase the mechanical lens from the mechanic, which highlights all wiring, even in unlit areas. Upgrading this to the Grand Design will let you disarm them from a distance, completely negating wiring-based traps. Dart traps are the most common trap and consist of a pressure plate linked to a trap horizontally. When stepped on, it will fire a projectile for 40, 80, or 120 damage depending on your difficulty. If it hits, it will also inflict poison. If you trigger the trap, the best way to avoid it is to jump. There is a 3-second cooldown before dart traps can fire a second time, so you have a safe period immediately after triggering them. Disarming dart traps is simple. Mine the trap or the pressure plate. Be careful of putting blocks in front of the trap to block it because they can fire through a single solid block. Since dart traps and pressure plates are both worth 20 silver, it's quite profitable to mine and sell them in the early game. Dart traps cannot spawn in the underground desert and the mushroom, granite, marble, and spider biomes. Boulder traps are the bane of many miners, dealing as much damage as the destroyer's mouth, 140, 280, or 420. They are hidden behind 6 active stone blocks in the ceiling, which turn off when activated and drop a boulder on the head of an unsuspecting player. The most important thing is that you move yourself horizontally from where you stepped on the pressure plate. That will stop the boulder from falling directly on your head. As long as it isn't falling on your head, there's a 50% chance it'll miss you entirely because the direction it rolls in is random. If it does roll towards you, you can jump over it or otherwise get out of the way. Boulders are destroyed after being activated, making these traps easy to disarm. The fastest method is simply activating the trap. If you've noticed the boulder, all you have to do is step on the pressure plate and get out of its way. If you're concerned about it hitting you, you can put blocks around the pressure plate to shield yourself. You can also destroy the boulder directly. Take care when doing this because boulders are not destroyed when mined. They are activated and will be destroyed upon hitting a surface it can't roll on. If you're standing on the boulder, it will hit you, even if it has nowhere to go. The pressure plates are destroyed on use and cannot be collected to be sold. Boulder traps will not spawn in the underground desert, snow, and mushroom biomes, and they're easily identified in the jungle due to being made of stone. Explosive traps are by far the most dangerous trap in the game, but are also the most rare. There is a pressure plate connected to explosives hidden under the ground, and the moment it is activated, they detonate. You have no time to react or dodge, and they deal 500 damage, which will instantly kill most players. The only way to avoid explosive traps is to notice them before they're activated. Danger sense potions and good lighting are key. Because the wire immediately goes into the ground, holding out a pressure plate might not be enough to notice them. They are dangerous to be near at all. Disarm them immediately as soon as you notice them. Destroying the pressure plate is usually enough, but you should destroy the explosives themselves in case there's another trap connected to the wire. Throwing a sticky bomb or dynamite at the trap is an easy way to destroy it without getting close enough to be in danger. The saving grace of exploding traps is that they are very rare. You often won't see a single one the entire game. Explosive traps, as far as I could tell, will not spawn in the underground desert or mushroom biomes. Statue traps are a rare trap that has a red pressure plate wired up to a statue, which will spawn an enemy when activated. Red pressure plates will only naturally spawn with statue traps and will be activated when anything steps on them, the player, enemies, and even pets or minions. This includes the enemy that's spawned by the statue, which can lead to a feedback loop. The game will attempt to make statue traps with slime, bat, skeleton, or crab statues, but you might end up with a different result. In areas with lots of statues, like mushroom biomes and underground cabins, there may be other statues in the way, and the trap will activate those as well. It's unlikely, but statue traps could spawn wraiths, pigrons, medusas, unicorns, and any other statue enemy. To disarm these traps, destroying the statue is best. You can destroy the pressure plate, but you might accidentally trigger it, especially if you have minions or pets. Dead man's chests are trapped chests that spawn boulders above them, dirt traps to the side of them, and explosives beneath them. Opening them without disarming them will almost certainly kill the player, but once disarmed, they contain standard gold chest loot and the occasional sweater. They're easily identified by a large number of traps in one area. If you see multiple boulders side by side, or a few dirt traps stacked on top of each other, and, the chest, it's a dead man's chest. There will never be more than 3 explosives under the dead man's chest. The best way to disarm them is to dig underneath it and mine out all the explosives. Hold on to one to check the wiring if you're not sure if you've gotten them all, and then close off the hole that you dug. Open the chest and the boulders won't reach you since you're under the ground, and the dirt traps go off harmlessly above you. There won't always be large amounts of traps. Depending on generation, there might be no explosive traps or no boulder traps, but I've never seen one without dirt traps. The boulder traps are also different from normal boulder traps because they use actuators instead of active stone blocks. If you're able to see wiring and see 6 actuators, it means there's a dead man's chest below it. Dead man's chests will not generate in the underground desert, snow biome, or mushroom biomes. So, what is in the underground desert? It's got none of the same traps as the rest of the world, but plenty of unique hazards to make up for it. Instead of boulders, you have rolling cacti. These deal half as much damage as boulders, but spawn spike projectiles once they break. Also, they're everywhere down here. They're placed so they start rolling when they get hit. On top of them, you've got antlion eggs all over the place, which spawn antlion larvae when broken. These two make the underground desert a tough place to get through unprepared. Neither of these traps use wiring, so holding out a pressure plate or using the grand design will not help. A danger sense potion does though, and you should always bring one to the underground desert. The best way to deal with cacti is to position yourself somewhere safe and attack them. They'll usually hit the nearby cacti and clear out everything in the area, damaging and even killing the antlions. Weapons that go through blocks like whips, the vile thorn, or the starfury are a great way to clear them out safely. The desert also has a unique sand trap where a pressure plate is linked up to actuated blocks above you. If you step on it, a bunch of sand falls on your head and begins to suffocate you. If you trigger this trap, jump. Ideally jump to the side, but just jump. The sand might hit you, but as long as you jump, you should be able to avoid being trapped beneath multiple blocks. If you get to the side fast enough, you can avoid the sand altogether. Falling sand deals 20, 40, or 60 damage depending on your difficulty. If you do get trapped under the sand, you need to decide whether to break your way out or teleport home. Breaking sand will cause the sand above you to fall and deal more damage, causing you to take that damage again. If you have good defense, you don't have to worry, but if you don't, you should take a recall potion or a magic mirror to get home. Lastly, the lava layer has 2 unique traps which can occur in any biome at the appropriate depth. The first is the geyser, which will erupt in flames when touched. This does not use wiring, but will show up with a danger sense potion. They deal the same damage as a dirt trap, but don't inflict a debuff on the player. They're quite common and are a hazard similar to lava. It's easily spotted, but will hurt quite a bit if touched. You can destroy them with a pickaxe. They're even capable of spawning inside pools of lava, which can make them almost impossible to detect. Even if you have lava immunity, the geyser can still damage you. The second trap is the lava trap, which is a pressure plate beneath a pool of lava that's hooked up to a line of actuated blocks. If the plate is stepped on, it breaks and the blocks turn off, flooding the area with lava. This is the strangest trap in the game because it poses practically no immediate threat. Lava takes a long time to flow, so you have a while to react and get out of the way. But there's not much you can do to stop the lava, which can make whole areas of the cave you're in difficult to access. If you are very fast, you can close off the area that the lava is about to come out of by placing blocks below the actuated hole. Once the lava makes it out though, you can't stop it anymore because you can't place blocks in lava. You could use falling sand, silt, or slush to quarantine it, and you can also send a wiring signal if you quickly place a pressure plate or switch where the broken pressure plate was to close the hole. If you can't stop the flow, get out of the area. The world is huge and you can find somewhere else to mine. The lava will take a while to settle, which you can speed up by reloading the world. There are other ways to break blocks besides pickaxes. Explosives, rocket launchers, the shovel, and the drill containment unit can all be considerably faster than outright mining. If your goal is to simply destroy a large number of blocks, like when clearing out an arena underground, Dynamite will do it quickly. It has a 5-second fuse and a radius of 7 blocks. Given Dynamite's price, I would primarily use it in the following situations. You need to destroy a large number of blocks to quickly quarantine an area from infection spread. You need to destroy a large number of blocks for an arena, such as Plantera, Skeletron, and Get Fixed Boy, or destroying underworld houses for the Wall of Flesh. There is a large vein of desirable ore to mine. For most other purposes, bombs are better. They are quite an effective tool for mining faster than your pickaxe in the early game. Use bombs to get from cave to cave, then throw bombs at the ores you want to mine. They're quite affordable, so don't be afraid to use them liberally. Scarab bombs are phenomenal at vertical block destruction, making a 21 block deep hole. It took me about 2 minutes and 90 bombs to make a full elevator on a large world. Since it mines in a line away from you rather than in an area of effect, you do need to remain directly above the bomb and it will damage you if you're too close, so keep that in mind. It's also limited by the fuse and cannot destroy more than 269 blocks unless you follow the hole downward. Once you get to Hardmode, fully buffed pickaxes will be faster ways to dig downwards. The Gravedigger shovel is a unique mining tool craftable with some iron and wood in a graveyard. It mines in a 3x3 area but only works on soft blocks, and it takes 2 hits to destroy them because it has a pickaxe power of 30%. It also does benefit from mining speed boosts. It has the same mining speed as the fossil pickaxe, which is 14. That goes down to a mining speed of 3 when fully buffed or hitting 20 times per second. You do have to aim the shovel a bit further down to hit the full 3x3 area, and you are destroying a 3x3 area while the player is only 2 blocks wide. Personally, I don't actually like the shovel. It doesn't use smart cursor, which is quite an issue for me when I'm mining, and having to swap to a different pickaxe to break through tougher blocks is inconvenient. But if none of those bother you, it is a great mining tool to make. It's particularly good in For the Worthy and Get Fixed Boy. Once you kill Plantera, you can begin using launchers to mine blocks. Any rocket with an even number will destroy blocks. These can be bought from the Cyborg during blood moons and solar eclipses, with the blood moon rockets having a radius of 2 tiles and the eclipse rockets having a radius of 4 tiles. Those eclipse rockets, Rocket 4s, can be upgraded into mini nukes using shroomite bows, which have a radius of 7 tiles. Cluster rockets can also be bought during these events after defeating Martians. These have complicated explosions because the shrapnel has variable spawning and doesn't typically detonate directly up against blocks. The grenade launcher, rocket launcher, proximity mine launcher, snowman cannon, and celebration Mark II will all destroy tiles, while the electrosphere launcher and the celebration will not. The Celebration Mark II does not inherit any properties from the ammunition it uses besides block destruction and explosion size. Cluster rockets will not fire off additional explosives, and it cannot create liquids with liquid rockets. It also does not get a benefit from using mini-nukes. There is no reason to upgrade Rocket 4s to mini-nukes aside from a slightly increased damage because the explosion radius is the same. The rest of the block-destroying launchers do inherit all of the properties of the rockets used. Because the grenade launcher has a fuse rather than blowing up on contact, it's quite inconvenient for mining and shouldn't be used. The proximity mine launcher needs to be triggered in order to explode, and it has a very slow rate of fire, so it's quite bad as well. I'm not going to mention either of those two again. The rocket launcher and snowman cannon are highly potent at destroying blocks when fueled with the proper ammunition. The snowman cannon fires twice as fast as the rocket launcher and is generally better, but the homing attacks can be annoying sometimes. The rocket launcher also deals self-damage, but the snowman cannon doesn't. That leaves us with the drill containment unit, the post-Moonlord mining mount. It's faster than every pickaxe or drill, regardless of how many buffs you use, because it has an innate tool speed of 1, which is the fastest possible mining speed, and it destroys 2 blocks at once. Now, you are unable to use any weapons while in the mount, and you're limited by the flying speed. Because of that, a fully buffed pickaxe will slightly outperform a drill containment unit when going straight vertically. Let's take a look at how all of this compares to each other to see what's really the fastest way to mine. To do that, I'm going to look at how many blocks are destroyed in 10 seconds in optimal circumstances. They will be destroying a completely solid chunk of dirt blocks with maximum mining speed, and I'll be taking the average of 2 trials. This is being timed with the in-game timer, so they average slightly over 10 seconds. Explosives will be thrown for 10 seconds, but allowed to detonate for the sake of this experiment. After a bit of rounding, this is the final ranking. The drills, due to their coding issue and lack of speed buffs, performed quite poorly. The fully buffed shovel destroys dirt at a comparable rate to a Hardmode pickaxe at maximum speed and twice as fast as the bone pickaxe, which is the next fastest pre-Hardmode option. Launchers completely dominate the top spots. Mini-nukes are unbelievably efficient. Even the rocket launcher is faster than the drill containment unit when using them, and the snowman cannon blows it out of the water with triple the speed. Rocket 2s are fairly underwhelming and not worth it at all. Cluster rockets are similar to Rocket 4s but triple the price, so they're not really worth using either. Rocket 4s are in a sweet spot for block destruction. They aren't quite at the raw destructive power of mini-nukes, but they don't need shroomite bows either. The rocket launcher armed with them is faster than any pickaxe, the snowman cannon handily beats out the drill containment unit, and the Celebration Mark II is the uncontested best pickaxe in the game, destroying around 460 blocks per second. It annihilates any and everything, as long as it isn't immune to explosions. Remember, it has no benefit to using mini-nukes besides a slight damage increase, so don't waste your shroomite on them. And that is all I have on mining. Be sure to leave a comment with any other topics you'd like me to cover, and have fun rewatching this video to find all the hidden mice. I decided I'm going to open up a mouse hunting channel on my Discord server temporarily. If all of the mice in this video are found, I'll do another hot tub stream. Happy mousing.